Gavin Newsom's talking about potentially running for the president. Actually, he's not talking about it. He's trying to avoid talking about it, but we all know what he's doing because he has to leave the gubernatorial seat in 2026, or the governor's seat in 2026. We know what he wants. You gonna pull it off with the record that took place in California all of these years under your stewardship? It's nice to see him sticking his chest out and going off. You think they don't have clips of how you embraced extreme leftist policies during the whole woke movement and cancel culture and everything else? You think they don't have those clips? You think they didn't see people getting arrested and let out of jail the same day?
Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith teamed up to criticize Gavin Newsom, saying he has done a poor job leading California, and their comments were sharp from start to finish.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you could.
Critics argue that California has gone in the wrong direction under Gavin Newsom, even as he appears to be preparing for a possible presidential run. Bill Maher's comments were blunt, and Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back with his criticism. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now, and let's jump into the story.
And the Democrats, my God, please find somebody who can lead. Gavin Newsom is out here in California. Out here in California. Pulling off in his own way what I think he wants to. He's being known more for trolling Trump on his podcast or with other interviews than what he's actually doing in the state of California. They think that's leadership because they don't have it. They know what they're doing. These politicians know. They know where the money is.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back, delivering a strong criticism of Gavin Newsom and accusing him of doing too little while California continues to face growing challenges. Instead of tackling rising living costs, businesses leaving the state, and increasing frustration among residents, Stephen A. argued that Newsom has been spending time on podcasts, taking shots at Donald Trump, and focusing on gaining attention nationwide. In his view, the contrast was hard to ignore. While many Californians deal with high taxes and more companies move elsewhere, Newsom appears more focused on building a national political profile than solving problems at home. Stephen A. described it as choosing publicity over real action, raising serious questions about where Newsom's priorities are during an important time. He also argued that, despite the constant criticism aimed at Trump, the former president has still energized many supporters, making Newsom's attacks seem more like a distraction than an example of strong leadership.
They know how to get some of it too, because Marjorie Taylor Greene came into office. She was worth a couple of $100,000 according to the reports. How the hell you leave departing and you worth $25 million? Where'd it come from? I work every day. I make a pretty good salary. I ain't making $25 million working on Capitol Hill with a salary that's less than $400,000 by accident. Somehow, some way, lobbyists up on Capitol Hill, you vote in one way or another, making sure that you assuage their concerns and appeal to them and all of this other stuff. And in the meantime, you get paid, but the American people ain't.
How do you really feel?
That ain't an accident. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
And that's where many critics believe things start to feel wrong. Politicians like Gavin Newsom often seem to know how their decisions affect everyday people, yet many feel their actions don't always reflect those concerns. For a lot of observers, politics begins to look less like public service and more like a system driven by influence, power, and personal interests. It's a criticism you hear often. Some people believe policies that make life harder for ordinary Americans exist alongside growing wealth for those in government. Figures like Nancy Pelosi are frequently mentioned as critics question how some politicians build large fortunes while serving in public office. That has added to a deeper sense of distrust. Many feel that while regular people deal with the consequences of government decisions, those in power remain protected and, in some cases, even benefit from the system. That growing disconnect is what frustrates many people the most, leaving them with the impression that the system rewards the very people who are supposed to be improving it.
I mean, you mentioned our governor. He used the words culturally, culturally normal. He said the party needs to get more culturally normal.
He needs to get more culturally normal. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. I actually like Gavin Newsom a little bit anyway, but it's just the truth.
I like him. What does that mean to you, culturally normal? What do you think he means? What does it mean?
I do not know what he means, but I don't. But I will tell you, I mean, that, again, I come from Michigan, where like, the average person just is a very pragmatic, like, put your head down and wants to work.
Right.
That is it. And so I will be honest, we made hats at the end of my last campaign. They just said Team Normal. I don't give if you're a Republican or Democrat and independent, just like live in the zone of practicality.
I still don't really know what the phrase culturally normal is supposed to mean. And that's exactly the problem. Terms like that are often used by people like Gavin Newsom and others on the progressive side. But they're rarely explained in a way that everyday people can easily understand. After a while, they start sounding like insider language, words that seem important but leave most people wondering what they actually mean. If the phrase is meant to describe something real, then explain it clearly instead of relying on vague buzzwords. So if you think you know what it means, let everyone know in the comments. That said, I do agree with the point Alyssa Slotkin made. Both the far left and the far right need to step back a little and move toward a more balanced approach. Constant political extremes and endless culture war arguments are not solving problems. If anything, they are only pushing the country further apart.
To me, I don't know what he meant, but I think the average person understands that, like, sometimes you just take the simple way out and everyone can agree.
Somebody, 45%, they're saying 45% of folks in America, whether they vote Democrat or Republican, they're really independent. It's about 45%, which means that you're going to have a chunk of the American population that's going to influence these upcoming elections. And I'm looking forward to it because it needs to be influenced. As far as I'm concerned, not you, not talking about you, but most folks on Capitol Hill, it just needs to be purged.
Well,
they need to go.
As long as they're being
go.
actual policymakers and not just provocateurs.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith and Bill Maher have both said they believe it's time for a major political reset, with many current elected officials being replaced by voters. Their argument is bigger than supporting one political party over another. It comes from frustration with a system they see as out of touch, slow to change, and lacking real accountability. In their view, too many politicians have become more focused on keeping their power than solving the everyday problems people care about. While Gavin Newsom may be nearing the end of his time as California's governor, critics argue that alone should not automatically lead to a bigger national role. They believe that moving the same leaders into higher positions, despite years of criticism and controversy, only repeats the problems many voters are already tired of. For them, real change is not just about replacing one politician with another. It's about choosing different kinds of leaders from the very beginning.
We know what he wants. You gonna pull it off with the record that took place in California all of these years under your stewardship? It's nice to see him sticking his chest out and going off. You think they don't have clips of how you embrace extreme leftist policies during the whole woke movement and cancel culture and everything else? You think they don't have those clips? You think they didn't see people getting arrested and let out of jail the same day? You think they don't have footage of crime ravaging the streets of Los Angeles or homelessness?
Stephen A. Smith has warned that Gavin Newsom's possible run for president could become a major problem for Democrats if it isn't managed carefully. In his view, the moment Newsom enters the national spotlight, critics will begin bringing back old interviews, speeches, and past comments, especially those connected to controversial woke issues. In today's political climate, almost nothing disappears, and nearly every old clip can be used against a candidate. Opponents would likely point to those moments as evidence that Newsom is out of touch with everyday voters, while also questioning his credibility and consistency. One example that critics continue to mention is his changing position on the term latings. At one point, Newsom appeared to distance himself from the term, suggesting he had never fully supported it. But critics quickly shared older clips that they believed showed otherwise, leading to accusations that his position had changed for political reasons. Since then, the lack of a clear explanation has continued to fuel skepticism, adding to concerns that these kinds of mixed messages could become a serious challenge during a national campaign.
Policies during the whole woke movement and cancel culture and everything else? You think they don't have those clips? You think they didn't see people getting arrested and let out of jail the same day? You think they don't have footage of crime ravaging the streets of Los Angeles or homelessness? You think they don't know about the cost of living and how it's the highest in this republic right now? Let's talk. Let's talk.
Stephen A. Smith then shifts his focus to what he believes are bigger problems in California under Gavin Newsom, pointing to issues that critics say range from alleged government corruption to the ongoing homelessness crisis. He brings up the billions of dollars spent trying to reduce homelessness, arguing that many people still don't see the kind of results they expected. He also points to California's high-speed rail project, which has received years of funding but continues to face delays, rising costs, and reduced goals without much visible progress. Critics make similar arguments about expensive water infrastructure projects, wildfire prevention efforts, and housing programs, saying they have consumed huge amounts of money while falling short of expectations. In Stephen A.'s view, all of this reflects a pattern of heavy government spending without meaningful results, strengthening the belief that California's biggest problems are not only difficult, but are also being poorly managed by state leaders.
Why the hell are you playing right into the hands of Donald Trump? Because I got news for you. On this particular issue, as it involves migrants, immigrants, those who are undocumented, dare we say illegal, in the United States of America, he's winning on this issue. There's a reason he won a popular vote. There's a reason he won the Electoral College vote. There's a reason he won every swing state. There are people within the United States of America that want our immigration crisis addressed and want the situation resolved somehow, some way. And the person that seems eager to bring a resolution to the table is President Donald Trump.
Stephen A. Smith argues that Donald Trump appears to have the upper hand on immigration, describing his approach as careful, strategic, and several steps ahead of his opponents. In his view, Trump is not simply reacting to events. Instead, he is shaping the conversation, setting the narrative, and putting his opponents in positions where they respond on his terms. Stephen A. believes this is where Gavin Newsom struggles. Rather than answering with a clear and disciplined strategy, Newsom often seems to react to the issues and step into debates that Trump has already framed. From his perspective, that gives Trump a political advantage, especially on a major issue like immigration. For Stephen A., the debate is about more than policy alone. It's also about who controls the conversation, and he believes Trump is doing that more effectively right now.
Stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about, and this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Just look at the expression on Bill Maher's face after he asked that question. His reaction said everything. Whatever Gavin Newsom was trying to explain didn't seem to convince him. Maher looked genuinely confused, wondering why California would pass a law requiring department stores to include gender-neutral toy sections in the first place. To him, it raised a bigger issue about priorities and whether lawmakers were focusing on the concerns that matter most to everyday people. Newsom responded by saying the idea originally came from the department stores themselves, but that answer only seemed to leave even more questions. Maher's reaction reflected the skepticism many critics have expressed. If businesses were already choosing to do it on their own, why was a law needed at all? The exchange highlighted that disconnect, leaving many viewers wondering whether the policy solved a real problem or simply added another layer of government regulation.
Because I live here and I'm not going anywhere. So I just want to make this a better state like everybody else.
Amen.
And good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome.
That was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of
I'm
almonds
well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man. Take on big almond.
Take on big almond.
Critics say this is just one example of what they see as California's long-running management problems under Gavin Newsom. They often point to the state's repeated wildfire seasons as another case. Every year, large parts of California face the threat of destructive fires, and some critics argue that the state's water policies, along with the heavy water demands of crops like almonds, are not always aligned with emergency needs. Almond farming requires enormous amounts of water each year. While it generates significant revenue, critics believe it also raises concerns about public safety and long-term sustainability. They argue this reflects a larger problem, where economic interests are sometimes given more attention than environmental planning and disaster preparedness. Then, when major wildfires break out, firefighters and local communities are left struggling to respond. For many critics, that highlights a system where practical solutions take a backseat to political image and financial priorities.
We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate. And you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
It's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
When you put everything together, many critics believe a clear pattern begins to emerge. Stephen A. Smith and Bill Maher argue that Gavin Newsom's leadership reflects larger problems within California politics. They point to issues such as costly projects that remain unfinished, including high-speed rail, concerns over wildfire management, the ongoing homelessness crisis, and controversial woke policies as signs that priorities have been misplaced. They also argue that if Newsom runs for president, those same issues could receive even greater attention, with critics revisiting past statements, policy shifts, and decisions. At the same time, Donald Trump is portrayed as following a more strategic approach, while Newsom is described as reacting without a consistent plan. Whether the debate involves water policies during wildfire seasons, gender-neutral toy section laws, or changing positions on terms like ladings, critics say the larger concern is leadership that focuses too much on image and ideology instead of measurable results. For many observers, these issues point to the need for stronger accountability and more effective leadership. With that, we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.